If you're running a private practice or a med spa, I don't want you to fail. After growing up with a dad in private practice and working with physicians for over 20 years, I can usually tell within 30 minutes if the practice is headed towards trouble. Not because the owner isn't smart, and not because they don't care, but because almost every struggling practice falls into the same 5 patterns. If I walk into your practice tomorrow, these are the 5 things I'd look for. Pattern 1, they solve every problem by adding, but never subtracting. So the first pattern is solving everything by adding something. Adding another employee, adding another service, adding another laser, adding a marketing campaign. But very few ever stop and ask, what should we stop doing? I've worked with practices that offer services that barely get booked, paying for software that no one uses, and following processes that waste hours every week. Some of the biggest improvements I've made with practices didn't come from adding anything. They came from simplifying, cutting upfront services, cutting unprofitable services, eliminating unnecessary steps, helping the team focus on what actually moves the business forward. Sometimes the fastest way of growing is by doing less, but doing it exceptionally well. Pattern number 2 is confusing loyalty with performance. This could be keeping an employee because they've always been there, or they show up every day. Maybe it's keeping an insurance contract that's constantly losing money. Maybe it's software that nobody uses, or maybe it's keeping a service or a product that barely makes any profit. Loyalty matters, but your practice cannot afford to make business decisions based on history. Everything in your practice should earn its place. The practices that thrive aren't afraid to ask difficult questions and make thoughtful changes when something's no longer serving the business. Now, if these first 2 patterns already sound familiar, then that's exactly what we help practices identify during our strategy call. We'll help you find whether your practice is leaking time or money or efficiency and give you a clear next step. So if you'd like to schedule a free call, the link's below. Pattern number 3 is knowing your revenue, but not knowing your profits. Most owners can tell you what they collected last month, but far fewer can tell you what services are performing the best and which ones make you the most money. I've seen practices heavily promote services that barely break even, while ignoring the ones that generate the healthiest margins. Revenue is important, but profit is what allows you to hire great people, invest in your practice, and lets you actually enjoy owning the business. So if you don't know what's profitable, you're making decisions in the dark. Pattern number 4, they avoid conversations that would fix everything. Every struggling practice has at least one conversation that they keep avoiding. Maybe it's addressing an employee who's no longer performing. Maybe it's raising prices. Maybe it's ending a vendor relationship. Or maybe it's just admitting that a system simply isn't working anymore. The longer those conversations are delayed, the more expensive they become. An example of this could be holding on to an employee that's always late, or maybe you're constantly correcting them, or maybe both. And you keep them because you don't want to have the conversation of letting them go. So instead, they're bringing down your whole practice. I have found that one honest conversation can sometimes solve problems that have been building for months. Pattern number 5, making permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. One bad month does not mean your marketing's not working. One difficult employee does not mean everyone is the problem. One negative review does not mean your practice is failing. Successful owners don't act emotionally. They step back and look at the data. They understand what's really happening, and then they make a thoughtful decision. That's one of the biggest differences that I see between practices that struggle and practices that continue to grow. So these are the 5 patterns that I see almost every struggling healthcare practice having. If you've recognized 1 or 2 of them, then that's actually really good news, because now you know where to start. And if you'd like another set of eyes on your practice, we'd love to help. You can schedule a free strategy call through the link down below. And if you want to keep learning, I also made a video covering the biggest business lessons every private practice owner should know. That video is right here, and I'll see you in the next video.